three leaders are starting to run down the stretch here. Batman, Booga, Iamzo, and Clicks have a nice even spread, but Batman, Booga, no fear in his heart as he is standing toe-to-toe in the low ground. This team's watching from above, so not too much of a dangerous spot for him to be in just yet.
Yeah, and I think they know a lot of the teams towards the northwest part of the map, if the zone does pull away from there, it's hard for them to get surge while maintaining their position in terms of rotating. And that's where they tend to take advantage of a lot of those teams, whether if it's direct fight or setting up just like that to try to get surge. Others taking a different approach. You see the box-to-box, Tony, Zeus, Creon. They're more of an aggressive team as well. They're going against teams that they can look at as, I wouldn't say rookies, not really making it this far in this career before, but we've seen rookies shine before.
Definitely. Tony, Creon, and Zeus is actually very interesting that they've decided to rotate into the Demon's Dojo, knowing that there was going to be three teams landing here, and where they should have an advantage, things are quickly turning around. What seems to be not in their favor right now. They're forced defensively, but into the box. Zeus gets deleted here. It does look like Eddie, Nix, and Licks are just a cut above the rest here, but trades are happening on both sides. Just a very important one-on-one for Eddie to win. He pulls the blade out and starts going to town. This Typhoon is definitely dangerous.
I'm not going to say that I haven't dealt with the Typhoon Blade before in close proximity. It just gets so chaotic and hectic. It's sometimes hard to hit those shots no matter how good of a player you are. And Eddie's doing a good job of taking advantage of that and maintaining his distance to move, but it finally got cut short. He finally gets knocked down. Lix is by himself, but he takes advantage of the damage that was already there. Down goes Creon, so an even trade.
Big exchanges here, but no, the pickup might come through. Lix has got to find him. Surely he's got some visual cues here, but not enough for him to know what's going on. It seems like he's going to back up, try to play for the disengage here. Again, he's got the Typhoon Blade, so shouldn't have too much of an issue. Of course, using that extended stamina, being able to dash away, kinetics in hand as well, so a lot at play here. I'm curious to see if Tony and Zeus will push now. But no, they're going to be content, it seems.
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to beat him to that reboot van. They know Lix is already down. They know that he potentially has to go back for the reboot cards as well. So they're just trying to cut him off on this rotation, get the reboot first, knowing that even if they do get damage, it's not going to be a lot.
I'm thinking Lix is going to try to go for the knock here out the sky. Get ready. Anything can happen, especially with that extra elevation there. But no, back on over to Reet. Surprise contested as well, right? We didn't expect him to have so much resistance here at the Brutal Boxcar. Typically with a notable trio like this, they'll get a drop to themselves, but no eliminations means that, Jacob, they didn't have to fight too hard for their drop. It seems like they're very much comfortable here.
Yeah, they either pushed that team off completely or they just switched up their drops. That gives Reet, Vert, and Bryce all this space. They can take that whole mountain range. And this is what Vivid was actually alluding to when he was showing that map and showing the teams that were actually spread out. They can take so much space over here on this side of the map. And then while other teams in certain drop spots don't have the metal, Brutal Boxcars is a spot with a lot of metal. Teams will tend to rotate in this direction, especially if the zone keeps pulling them and forcing them to.
Metal always so scarce to get a hold of, especially given some of the changes we've seen, kind of teams go back and forth. But right now, it's going to be a matter of getting into a strong position. Death and Company being contested, you can see that they have a bit of an elimination lead over the players in the area here. However, that doesn't give them full advantage over what could be storm damage. That's always going to be high on the list here to make sure that teams are staying active right now, but they're playing a bit of a dead side, actually sticking to this further outskirts here.
It almost even looked like that mountain, the view range, hoping that the zone pulls over in that direction. We can see from one side of the map to the other. 20 Walkers and Larson, another team who made a late change into this group stage to try to go ahead and up their chances of qualifying to the Major 1 finals. The zone's going to pull all the way over to the rest, so their rotation is not done yet.
That's a team that I'm definitely expecting to finish consistently somewhere inside of that top 5 by the time things are all said and done. Possibly even walk out of here with a victory royale, but that is the question. Who will win game number 1 and send themselves straight to finals out of the first group? Out comes the Void Oni mask for the rotates here for Braids, Diminish, and Visuals. Also keep in mind to the fundamentals here. Check every bush with the shotgun shot. No need to take a risk here. walk yourself blindly into an ambush. And this is a good spot right here to be in. Early rotates to get a little bit of high ground. They want to continue to make their way center more or less here.
Yeah, that's a team to when they're positioning, you can see the fishing rod in their inventory. They're going to look to kind of box up, position around water so they can continue to fish those shield fish, the floppers late into the game. Other teams, their surge bases, they're trying to go ahead and utilize them as much as possible before they're forced to rotate in towards the zone. And it's kind of like centering up a little bit more towards the eastern lean, but overall centered up towards the north side of the zone.
You can see how the stats are really highlighting the fact that there are plenty of teams here who have experienced their finals, but more importantly, experienced a win when the win condition mattered to send themselves to finals. But that is a minority of the server population so far, so there are going to be some big celebratory wins here today to come. History being made for some players. Curve Tyler and Shadow, the team that lands, of course, to that Flooded Frogs, given that this is the Group 1 setting here. Does seem to have a very strong loadout, as we'd expect of a team that has the Flooded Frogs themselves.
Yeah, this is a team I feel like I expect, whether if it's a victory royale or through that top 5, that they should make it to the Major 1 finals today. Hopefully I don't curse them for that, but they've just been so consistent. Even with the top teams, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, them, Acorn's team in the lobby as well, they're still finding a way to place into the top 5. Now you take out some of those teams, shift them around due to the groups, and now they have a better drop spot on top of that. I feel like they have success written all over them.
And Shadow's a great player. He's done very, very well in play-in stages, but here's a team we all want to keep our tabs on. Batman, Booga, Clix, and Yamzo. One of the few trios that have actually more or less broadcasted their entire journey live for the world to watch and follow along with. This is a team that has 3 very strong leaders, I would say, and the comms get crazy once we start breaking their way to endgame. Here it is, though.
Saw Creon trying to get rebooted back. We can see on the other side, Eddie's team, they're back as well. Rotating kind of together, parallel a lot of the way. Pump Power, another spot where a lot of teams kind of converge to try to gather as much metal as possible. And with the zone pulling in this direction, it is going to pretend to get a little bit more crowded due to the mountain range just east of it as well.
We'll have to see here. Zone's going to pop now. Pump Power still in play here. Tony, Zeus, and Creon not feeling the congestion here too much. They want to start playing for a little bit more center zone. Let's jump in with Mason and company, though. Already on the move as well. One of the few teams outside of the bubble right now. And off they go with a nice little wide rotate. Notice, we're going to see this a lot, though. Wind, Spirits, not necessarily going to be the option of choice here, but the Waters instead. And here it is. Time to catch a medallion. Which one of these trios are going to be the first to go for it? I mean, Jacob, what do you think?
I'm thinking, like, who's going to be brave? I think it's Visual Braids and Amish will at least try to make it up towards the top. They've been the most aggressive so far in this lobby, or at least the most aggressive that we've been blessed to see. And it does look like they're going to be the first ones to make a move. Now the islands are so spread out, you can still make your way up there. No intention to try to fight the boss, just so you can have a better advantage to try to get Surge. We've seen it a few times, but not too much.
Yeah, it's just so risky coming up here for obvious reasons. If you start to get that focus of the boss and it isn't your intent to actually finish it off, we'll see what happens here shortly. Other teams are all coming up. It does seem like they all want a little bit of that visual advantage that we just talked about here.
I wonder if they know they're a duo up there, because they can try to steal that one away. I'm trying to look at the minimap right now. It does look like they may be trying to make their way off, give it up. They're a duo. They see a trio on the other side. You may not necessarily know who it is either. If they're an aggressive team, that's just something that you may not want to fight at this stage in the game.
Somehow Exoff already 5 uses of his Oni mask. So we're not even really deep into the mid game just yet. Things are just getting started here. Look at this super widespread from 8 and higher in Hound, our Demon's Dojo team, as the zones continue to kind of favor this area, and they just have this on lock. Very, very reminiscent to early chapter days when we had that big volcano in the silo here. Almost feels very, very similar in a sense.
Yeah, that big battle off spawn, so they were able to get those 3 eliminations, getting contested. That kind of allowed them to kind of loot up, build the perfect structure, and kind of stay over here without worrying about surge. With the zone pulling over here, there's so many teams that are going to try to rotate towards that north, make their way in from the west as well, and that gives them all the opportunity in the world. It's just all about where it pulls from here is going to be the big question.
I was going to say, it makes sense as to why Hound was down here. He's just fishing this entire time. Team watching the high ground, fishing for storm surge tags, of course.
Uh-oh. Focus was a solo for a quick second. Does look like Pandy is trying to make his way on over along with Owl. They get the short end of the stick when it comes to the pull, just so a lot of other teams do as well all around him. It is going to pull all the way towards the north with the eastern side, so you got to remember that team towards Demon's Dojo, Hound and his trio, they must have the best position on the map right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Look at this. The angles from Owl, Pilot, and Andy. This is how they pick up their first elimination there. Owl to Kale, who's out of position. And Pilot had a little bit of the low ground here. All of a sudden, they've attracted this trio next door. This does seem to be more of a desperate fight from Ayo and team here, likely because they know they're going to have problems with damage in the later half of this lobby here if they can't find something here shortly. But Pandy, big pressure in. It's not looking too good for him. The knock goes through, but the teammates take him to go here. They might be able to play for the pickup, but no. The blades are out. They're trying to break in. They have to leave Pandy behind, and the full finish comes through. There's the update on the damage threshold. We knew it might be a problem for some, and I think it's going to come as a nice update to them that they don't have to worry too much about damage here moving forward for a bit.
Yeah, it was much needed as well, because you can saw Ayo had no mobility. He had the Fire Oni mask. That's not going to get him across this far pool, but there goes a quick shot. Ooh. They find another elimination, and that is loot that they need. If you look back on a moment and they place in the top 5 and they find themselves in the Major 1 finals, whether it's a victory royale, I feel like this moment right here, these eliminations, this is the turnaround point for this team.
Definitely, as Toronto was the one who really set things up for the win there. You saw it looked like the shot went off right as the Oni mask went off, and that's why his body was just thrown across there. Now we get an update with Cease, Blake, and Jack here, who are 900 damage above. This is exactly what we expect of any veterans in the lobby. And Nicholas and Eddie, a contested team off the drop, find themselves well below here in a fight inside the storm line. These shots are going to matter so much right now, and he's got heals to work with, but the pressure, too much here as he gets sandwiched just outside the pump power here.
Just unfortunate, because I truly believe those 4 floppers would have went a long way if he had his teammate's reboot card. With the zone pulling over here, not that much damage with the storm at this stage in the game. Hey, I'm not saying it would have been 100%, but he at least had an opportunity that was cut short by a whole nother team. As Zay and Vibes, 300 damage above the storm, but their position is being threatened. There's a whole trio right next to him with a rotation to make.
Good to see Ducky and Stacks still pairing up here as well. They're trying to take their trio to the end. Big pressure coming in now. But Walker's Larson and 20, one of our veteran trios in the lobby right now. Big damage coming in here from the opposite side, but 20 with the defensive hold here buys Walker's just enough time to go ahead and heal up. They were trying to get together likely for the splash here. No, they have water spirits as well. It's going to fully allow them to reset here. This team has to be careful, but no, caught out. It's going to be a free elimination. They actually find 2 for their troubles here to keep them in the game. And this is only 200 damage above the threshold, so very much barely holding on right now in these moments here.
Yeah, and they get a huge pick-me-up with the loot. Extra heals, good positioning. Everything seems to be working right for them. Zone continues to pull forward. We finally get a glimpse of Batman Booga, Yamzo, and Clicks late in the game. They're just outside of zone, but just one orb can get their way in, and they find their spot, and they quickly set up a base. And this is a team right here. Even though we know they could win from high ground, they can also dominate and thrive in the chaos that the low ground has to offer. And there goes an example. Clicks not necessarily backing down unless he has to, trying to reunite with the team, but the pressure is on.
I want to see Clicks pull out those pre-edits like he is known to do in this type of trio setting, but they are getting pushed back right now. And a very recognizable 0 eliminations for this trio right now. Not something we'd expect, given that Iamzo is someone who not only leads this team, but typically carries in damage. And that trio of Kai Exen is still pushing on with Verge there. We'll see what happens here as we start paying close attention. Other teams on the move right now. Encrypted, Sales, and Death also trying to play for this high ground. They're going to be one of the first teams to get up here now. And I like this spot. I like where Encrypted and company have put themselves in. As far as this game is concerned, they should be setting themselves up likely for a high ground hold. We'll see.
Yeah, I still might have to watch out for that one team that landed Demon's Dojo, because look where the zone's at. They probably had to move a matter of 50 meters all game long, holding the perfect spot. But I think right here, where they're at, that mid layer, high ground can't necessarily target them. Every other team has to rotate into them. If they need surge, they're in the perfect spot.
That's right, that team up there is likely to be still Hound and Aiden. Take a look at the replay, though. Batman, Bugha, Clicks, and Yamzo end up taking on the pressure that comes in from the team on the other side, and they delete them as they walk right into what seems like the trap set from below. Very nicely done.
Yeah, perfect example of why you gotta get Surge very, very early, because they were down on Surge going up against that trio, and they were kind of forced into that altercation.
What happened here? Wow. 20 and Larson fall as Walkers is the last live. When we tuned in, he had 15 uses fresh on an Oni mask there. Now down to 13, so it seems like his team just didn't have what it took to catch up in time. And we knew it. We wanted to get a little glimpse of what's happening up above. Hound, Aiden, and Higher still have the high ground here. This is their drop spot as well. Do keep in mind they're likely to have the maximum material here. Comparatively, though, on the low ground, Blake and Cease fighting their way all the way through here. Starting to rack up eliminations here.
Yeah, and you can see their material count is low through at least 2 of the 3 members on the team. So you can see they're trying to figure out a way to get an elimination, get a refresh for those siphon materials or any other resources that they can scramble. But with a 4 pull just like this, majority of the teams stacked this far back, they know it's just too risky at this moment.
First to make a move here already. Aiden, Hound, Higher getting to the front side of zone. No pressure on them either, as other teams haven't even decided to move just yet. And they have a real opportunity here to make a big play, but they are capitalizing on the chance of being able to farm here. And this is, again, just knowing your zone, knowing your drop here. And it should be honestly, a victory if I ever saw one potentially happening here. But wait a second, Clicks, Batman, Bugha, Yamzo still in the mix here. Take that Encrypted. The team that had one of the first and early rotates there somehow fall. And that must be just a lack of communication or a big mistake. Either one, they're going to pay for it here, losing the opportunity now to make it to endgame here in game 1.
Yeah, even with Yamzo weak in that moment, Clicks, Batman, Bugha knew the assignment. Hold on to those builds. Make sure he could heal up, rotate to zone. You see they immediately drop down. They don't want to be caught at the high ground this early in the game. There's still 4 more zones to go, and a lot of the teams below have the potential to try to contest them.
Look at this, even Hound and Aiden here. They don't want to burn too much material. Notice they are recycling these towers, really trying to do what they can to stay very reserved right now. Out come the Oni Mass to move across here. They're going to set themselves up. Now comes the commitment with a couple more mats here. But this is going off of the zone, off of this mountain here, down into the crevices towards the water down low. It is going to get very, very interesting here for our high ground teams. Osid and crew, out come all the Oni Mass. This is where the rotates really start to come to life here. Low ground's going to be even more critical now.
Got to be careful how early you rotate. You don't want to become the target. Higher, Hound, and Aiden, you see them slowly but surely waiting for all these other teams to rotate first, and then they orb to the front side of zone, and they reclaim their position on that high ground, knowing nobody can really contest them. There's 14 teams still alive, and I doubt anybody has had an opportunity to look up and down these mountains. There's so much chaos. Now Mason finds himself in a tough spot, stuck underneath, but luckily another teammate is there to save the day.
This really is becoming now a who's who of NA here for the Group 1. All the teams left alive are typically the vets. In Reet and Bryce being one of those ones that I'm looking to highlight right now, but Chance, Mason, and Donnie, a very experienced team, trying to get into those walls, but the defense is looking good here. Reet's holding it down for a second. Kenny gets shots back. A couple go in. It's not looking good. Mason goes down first, but Chance trades him out with Reet there. It's all up to Bryce now. Can he get the 2v1? Bryce finds one. Can he get the second? Too much pressure from Clicks and company as they come in as the third party there for the big eliminations. And all of a sudden now, it is exactly what we are expecting. Big names here making their headlines.
And doing what they do best, they're moving through the low ground, they're claiming as much space as possible. They haven't really had a chance to look up, or at least not just yet, and that's where this team thrives. We talked about the chaos and their communication, but there's also one thing to note. They do not hesitate. When any one of these guys make a call, they all go as a trio, and they bulldoze their way through.
Clicks, Ionzo, Batman Booga had a bit of a slow start here, but they are starting to ramp up right now. Materials looking a little light, though, so I am thinking they are going to need a refresher if they want to win this game. Hound, Aiden, and Higher have just played so perfectly, though, on the high ground right now. Very little pressure has come up on top of them here as they've managed to secure this positioning this entire time here. Ionzo, though, finds, hey, yo, that's a little bit of the material that we were looking for him to grab here. Typhoon Blade coming out to help him get up this mountain, but Clicks left behind now. Forced to rat down into low ground. Can he find a tag? No. He's going to be the first to go down now. It's up to Batman Booga and Ionzo here to clutch out as much points as possible.
Yeah, the trio turns into the duo, but the pressure doesn't stop nonetheless. Now they're feeling it, and they're feeling it even more as they continue to try to back up what little builds they have left, quickly getting expended. As Ionzo moves out towards the left, trying to claim space, we continue to move up this mountain. Hound, Aiden, and Higher have not been contested just yet, but a quick chop. Finally, things are looking tough as G-Money moves up. Osid is there. They have a contestation, and it does look like Aiden's gonna get dropped.
Zeke is really good at these moments here. G-Monster to back him up, and Sid, this is a team that has been here before. They know how to win games, and they've been to final settings, and all of a sudden now with 3 trios left, it is looking like it is theirs to run away with it, especially since they're only a full team standing right now. Death and Sales as a duo right now are just clinging on, but they have material, they have the mountain, and I mean, it can just be a matter of moments now, Jacob. This team should be winning.
Yeah, Death trying to go up, do something, give himself an opportunity, but it's not enough. Seek just cleans up. 9 elimination monster. Welcome to the Major 1 Finals.
It's what we thought would happen, right? A team that we expect, and I think some people are happy that we get to see Clicks load into another lobby, but what matters is taking home that victory royale in G-Money. Sid got to do it just like that in the end there. They played it very, very precisely as well there, Jacob.
Yeah, that's going to be the 6th appearance for Seek and G-Money. That's going to be Osid's 3rd appearance in a grand finals. I called this the golden opportunity. Nobody even contested high throughout the majority of the game, but they picked their moment. They picked it perfect, and they took over when it mattered. That is going to have them smiling ear to ear, and guess what? They get the rest of the day off. That was so much action right there, and it's only been 1 game so far, so I'm going to give it all on over to our analyst to break it down.
Thank you so much, Jacob PR and Monster D-Face. Game number 1. Did you see that chaos? Were you there for it? That's what this is all about, okay? And we're going to get to see 4 more games of that. But again, congratulations to this trio. They're going to be going straight to the Major 1 Finals. That means, as Jacob said, hey, they can take the rest of the night off. They can watch, they can learn, they can start forming a plan for the future, their drop spots. Maybe they want to shake things up. It's exciting, but at the end of the day, they got the VR. They're good to go.
Yeah, they are good to go, and now another trio is good to go, potentially looking at Magic Mosses, which is now no longer owned by this trio right here. But big shout-outs to Seek, G-Monster, and Sid. What an incredible performance, and we saw them during the play-ins. They had a great run. We already saw them grab a victory royale right there, and their ability to know when to take height. You heard Jacob talk about it. There was a trio all the way from Zone 8 controlling high ground, and when they noticed that those mats started to get low, that's when they struck.
Yeah, that's the effect of those void masks, right? I mean, we're looking at the zone over here. It's one of those ones where you got to go up the hill, and that's usually very, very hard. But if you can find an angle to throw those masks up, then you can make a play very, very easily for the higher ground. G-Money, Sid, and Seek. Listen, one of the trios, very rare this season to actually stick together, but they have been competing the entire season together. No switch-ups for them, and it instantly pays off in group number 1 here. Congratulations to them.
That's right. We'll have more to break down after this short break, so stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Embarqué pour une vie d'aventure. avec la Marine nationale. Embarqué pour une vie d'aventure.
Welcome back, everyone. We just got done with game number 1 of the day. In case you missed out, Seek, G Monster, and Sid got themselves the victory royale with 9 eliminations. That means the next time we'll be seeing them is in the Major 1 finals. So now we have to talk about that game we just witnessed. This being kind of like the introductory game of this first competition, right? Game 1. What did you guys expect? Did it live up to the hype? Did it live up to your expectations?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, that zone was pretty rough. So to be able to see players be able to use the Void Oni mask to their advantage, or to just be able to stay as long as they could alive, I mean, that is exactly what I want to see in these games right here. And although Hire's trio did their best to hold high ground for way too long, eventually you're going to run out of mats, especially when the zone pulls the way that it did.
Yeah, I mean, returning to a tale as old as time, something that we've kind of seen over Fortnite competitive over the past couple of competitions is always like the discussion, right? How long can a team actually hold a high ground throughout some of those moving zones before they start to get some of those like diminishing returns, right? Can they actually win the game? And for Hire, Hound, and Aiden right there being up on the high ground in the early part of those moving zones, kind of holding it for so long, they just did not find any refreshes to kind of justify staying up there. So eventually it is going to get taken from them, but still very good placement out of them in terms of just gathering points for that consistency leaderboard.
And we really saw them through. Oh, I'm sorry. We really saw them throughout the entirety of the game there. We saw that they were going to be triple contested over at Demon's Dojo. But afterwards, obviously, we can see them with the Mythic Oni Void Mask there. So that means that they were able to take advantage of that contestation and be able to kind of rotate that into this early high ground aggression. I'm guessing with the Mythic SMG as well. They felt like they had a lot more opportunities for that aggression, but unfortunately, they do get snuck up on. And Hire here potentially going for just a little bit of a heal off, but obviously when you have 2 other players shooting you down, there's only so long that you can keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love the kind of chaotic nature of that Void Oni mask, right? In the past, kind of contesting high ground, doesn't always look like that. Like, you know, it's not easy to just kind of appear up there. And now with that, you're like, okay, I'm on high ground, I'm shooting down, and there's all these like projectiles flying across screen. Like, is one of these going to be the one that teleports here? Not that one. What about this one? Not that one. You know, it's a crazy chaotic flow that I'm here for it. As I mentioned before, Seek, G Monster, and Sid, they're going through to the finals, but we saw someone else performing pretty well here in that 4th place spot. Clicks, Batman, Booga, and Iamzo. Kelly prepared the curse, so we didn't see them win game number 1 because we want to see more of Clicks. And as I pull up my script, it does say here he doesn't win game number 1 because we do want to see more. So thank you for reading my script, Kelly. I appreciate that.
Whoa, if we're talking about curses, Vivid's the one that said that they're going to win the 4th game. So he put the number 4 out into the universe. Everyone blame him, not me.
Well, I mean, listen, it's bound to happen, right? It's Clicks, of course. But something else that's kind of bound to happen is Clicks, Batman, Booga, and Iamzo doing very well in tournaments. They've kind of proven themselves already, even as a kind of a newly formed trio when we look at some of the other trios that are kind of competing. Something that was kind of crazy, maybe not so crazy, was how much damage this trio actually had, right? They had 0 eliminations going into the 6th zone, and I was like, wow, you know, maybe I was kind of expecting them to be maybe a little bit more aggression, but they found their first elim in the 6th zone. That's kind of where they found their momentum to get into that end game right there. Just unfortunately, even though, you know, they found themselves in that comfortable low ground spot that they like, that, you know, the suffocation from the hill, that little bit of a west port just kind of made it really uncomfortable then for them to kind of maneuver.
Yeah, we weren't able to watch it on the stream, but there was a moment where I saw them full wipe a trio, and that just showcases how coordinated they are. It's not like they're picking players apart. It's that once they find a trio in a box, they all go in, just like you called out earlier on in the show, Vivid, that they just have so much communication, so much aggression once they are confident in getting into one of these other players' boxes. But I love the differences of 2nd and 3rd place here, really showcasing that a high elimination game or a high placement game can really propel you up in the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. And in 2nd place there, we got Death, Sales, and Encrypted. We saw there in those final few moments, it was just Death and Sales. As a duo, they were fighting it out in those final few moments of that last game. Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to kind of see more. I do love these kind of games, though, like you guys have called out, when you have like old men out and being like, I'm not moving, so you guys got to figure it out. We even saw there in a situation where Iamzo had not only the Oni mask, but also the Typhoon Blade. How do you guys feel about this pairing? Do we want to maybe carry both just in case? Like, I feel like that's a good call, but, you know, what do you think?
I think it was more so of just a situation where they don't have heals anymore. There was already so much chaos going on in the low ground. And just in case you need some more mobility, once it does get to that point, you might as well carry one in your loadout.
Yeah, I mean, worked out very, very well, right? That added mobility kind of got him around the builds, up the hill, added a couple of more points there, but turning tails to game number 2 here. We, of course, have one team already into the finals. They are no longer going to be playing in the competition, so how are things going to switch up with them out of the lobby?
Well, Vivid, you took the words right out of my mouth. Let's find out together. Casters, let's send it your way for game number 2.
That's right, and that means Magic Mosses now opens up as G Money, Osid, and Seek. We're landing there just north of where Ree and his trio are contested. And those are, of course, teams that are going to need points. And then you start thinking about everyone at the Demon's Dojo. There are going to be mix-ups here now coming up, Jacob.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of mix-up. We already seen it before game 1 even started. Spots we thought were going to be a little bit more contested turned out to be a little bit easier, while others seem to be surprise contested overall. So even if you're thinking Magic Moss is a team 1, how many other teams in the lobby are thinking that same thing? So that's something I definitely have my eye on as we go into game 2.
You are going to have to take the risk if you want to end up on a Victory Royale stage. Let's see it as game number 2 is ready. All right, Jacob, here we have it. Game 2 is underway now. The victory conditions have been set. You saw it play out that just because the zone ends at the Demon's Dojo and you land there, you are not guaranteed to win. What's most important is if you are playing that high ground, you find a refresher. Otherwise, you are going to come up short. Talking about, of course, these contested drops. We get to watch a fight right here for the weapons. Blake, Cease, and Jack are the first laying down, and it's just chaos unfolding. Does seem like the first casualties fall on both sides.
Oh man, that was looking a little dangerous right there, but back up they go, trying to escape on out. That elimination did get cleaned up. Jack finds a knock on to another one. A very great start for them. It kind of lasted a little bit longer than I think they would hope for, and a little bit scarier in game number 1, forcing a huge clutch up situation. But Jack, someone who has only one finals appearance so far, is showing up and showing out for this team.
This is a full-out, like, surprise contest as well. Like, Cease, Blake, and Jack did not expect to be fully contested like this. When you look at the, you know, where teams were claiming they were going to drop, it was definitely not on top of Cease. So for them to win their drop 2 games in a row now is definitely telling that they might be the stronger trio there. And those points are, of course, going to be hugely welcomed.
You see
Just
this?
off to the west here, though. Yeah, there's a little bit of a standoff.
3 teams at the opened up Magic Mosses, all getting that idea. Eddie, Nix, and Licks was one of those teams that already switched up before game 1, so they probably saw it open up here in game 2, so they thought, hey, maybe we could switch on over, make things happen, and they performed very, very well considering the circumstances that we saw early on in game 1.
Well, we knew a team from the Demon's Dojo was likely going to land here, given that they, of course, had to deal with Hound, Aiden, and Higher, who played exceptionally well, and that is exactly what has just occurred there at the Magic Mosses. It is now a triple count for game 2 by surprise. For Braids, Diminish, and Visuals, they're keeping up the momentum here. A quick set of eliminations at the floodgate. And off they go to start farming up their resources, getting their loadouts together here. Let's not forget, man, getting a top 5 is just as good, of course. A finals seat is a finals seat, so they just got to stay the course and play a good game here.
Yeah, worry about your own game for the most part, because you also got to realize, let's say we go to game 4, game 5, one of those teams inside of the top 5 win a game, that opens up a whole spot on the leaderboard. So you got to be able to have that mental toughness to never give up, because there's always an opportunity going down to the very last and final moments.
That is true. The better teams will funnel points to the top, but it'll just average out once they get taken off the leaderboard. So yeah, plenty of opportunity to jump up a significant amount of spots, so long as you have a solid showing. Jumping in with Cayenne, Steph Curry, and Verge here on the move right now. Just on the outskirts here, super south of most of the teams right now in the zone, trying to see if they can find some action here. They're trailing behind the team. I wonder if they know this.
Might be a little too early to tell, but I'm feeling the south zone this game, just judging by what's on the map. Colazo gets caught out yet again. He goes down. I knew I saw somebody in that mini-map. I wasn't 100% sure, but I saw one solo player running around that trios. So another fight's going to break out. Doesn't seem like Eddie, Nix, and Licks can escape these early game struggles.
Let's watch this play out right now. Licks, Eddie, and Nick here are up 1 on these teams for the early fight. This time, it's not looking too hot, as Eddie's going to be the first to take big damage. The block comes out from the Oni Master, in the Forgotten Wall punishes the team once again here. This trio is having a really hard time right now gathering themselves here. Just seems like Polis is putting way too much pressure in. They're thinking about diving on him.
Going for a straight chop, expose him as much as possible. They know there's at least scratches on him, and they're trying to add more pain to the hurt. Another angle as power goes on the other side, and they're looking to spray through, and that's the huge difference. The Hollow Twisters, they can spray, they can do the damage, but that's why you see the Fury Assault Rifle on the other side, forcing that team with their backs up against that wall.
The problem is, though, they are running out of ammunition, so Polis looking super light now, down to 27 bullets, barely a magazine to go. It seems like they're regretting their decision to kind of drag this one out right now. If they can't get the finish, they're going to have to find loot instead to make up for this lost time. It does seem like a full-on disengage from both sides here. And I would say Power, Polis, and Listen definitely come ahead a little bit there. So not too bad for them. Back on over to the dojo. Hound, Higher, and Aiden uncontested now. They've got this drop to themselves, rightfully earned through a hard-fought battle there. Seem to have to find themselves now into a fight here shortly.
Yeah, not bad. 3rd place, 5 eliminations throughout that last game, but with the zone continuously pulling over, I feel like that was a moment they really needed to take advantage of, but at least they're getting the points, moving up the leaderboard, and they're not too far off our zone now. We'll see where this next one pulls, and this next one, where it pulls, is going to be really telling where the end zone might end up.
Yeah, they're going to need to play for that medal there, on into the pump power. Let's do a little update here where Reet seems like his loot is definitely starting to come together right now as well. Where's his team? They're very spread apart right now. just outside of their drop here of the brutal boxcars.
Yeah, there's a lot of space, and that's the one thing about this drop spot when you do, whether it's contested or not, a lot of that loot is so spread out that you do spend a good portion of the early minutes of the game just trying to scavenge, get that good loadout, or as best of a loadout as you could possibly get. Death Sails encrypted, 1 elimination so far. After that last game, I would say momentum is on their side.
Ooh, big knock there onto Kaz for encrypted. Larson, Walker's here in a fight. Donnie, Chance, and Mason playing a low ground right now. Pressure coming in from 20 up above. Tough spot to be in as he loses the wall to Walker's here. Walker's is quick. As far as mechanical players go, he is definitely up there. One of the younger players, just starting to make his rise the last year or two. More and more finals appearances are coming through for this guy right here. And he has shown us what he's got. It's a big moment now for him to put up. Larson, a very experienced part of this team here, making the call-outs, playing the side angles, not really putting themselves in harm's way just yet.
Yeah, this is just a scary and risky situation for both of these teams, because you talked about them. This is both teams that you can kind of realistically see in a Major 1 finals, battling out Hurley here in Game 2. Larson trying to go for the top. Donnie's backing him down, but not without sacrifice. Some damage goes out the window, but you can see his ammunition. 3 shots left in the Oni. Calls for some backup, but that little hit step right there, calling for the ammo, cost them some damage again, giving Walker's 20 and Larson a little bit of a momentum shift.
Ooh, Walker's gonna get punished here. Now has to slow down. It's gonna come down to Larson here if he can find his tag. He finds it onto Mason. That's gonna set him up to give a little bit more pressure back, and Chance is trying to take the fight through the wall here. Larson jumps down a layer. He owns all this, but he's out of material now. This is not looking good. He finds a split met from the metal there. And they are just getting collapsed on right now. All of a sudden, things are not looking too hot for this trio here.
Yeah, the back's really up against the wall. The material count is super low, but it almost seems like on the other side, they're getting the same memo. A lot of resources have been expended without a huge advancement in the fight, so they're just going to try and orb their way on out. Both teams really missing a lot and hurting from that last battle. I would say the only saving grace is hopefully both of these teams did just enough damage so they don't really have to worry about Storm Surge this early in the game.
They definitely did a lot of damage. You can see most telling is that the heals are low, not just the material here. So this disengage is for sure warranted, I would say, from both trios. Yeah. And sometimes, you know what? You just got to, put your pride aside and know when to just back off and play to recoup your position back into the tournament.
Yeah, due to especially the 2 win conditions, you don't have to get every single elimination to try to catch up on the leaderboard early. Yeah. Click Siamzo, Batman Booga, trying to rotate in from the north, taking advantage of a lot of the teams that rotate next to them. It's part of their game plan. They don't necessarily like to go to that box-box chaotic fight unless they absolutely have to, or just have a super advantage to go for like a pre-piece or something.
Clicks on the move right now. Eyes on Magma. Lost him for a second there. Joshy's got the high ground from this major city here. Batman Booga setting up a little bit of a side angle, gets punished for it, unfortunately. As Void Oni Mask is out, so he'll be able to teleport if he has to.
They know if anybody's up there, they got to move towards the south. They're just kind of hoping they move in their direction. But we can see on the mini-map, they're choosing to rotate a little bit towards the west before they make their downward pull towards the south and inevitably the zone. And that's where it's kind of up to Click, Siamzo, Batman, Booga. They have a little bit of a better position. They can cut them off, or they can kind of rotate directly in towards zone and get a better position.
Jumping in with Beasts. Full team down right now. Makes them probably regret their decision to land at the Magic Mosses if can't get the pickup here, but off to Reboot Van we go. Deep into the storm here. There's a team waiting. Little does he know, likely another team trying to play for a pickup here shortly. It's Aiden, Hound, and Higher. We knew that they were going to have to force a fight given that they gave up their contested drop. Teams have backed their way out. And it's looking very, very good for them right now as they get to secure this elimination here. That's going to be a 2 special piece right there. And off they go, rotating south now. Well,
it's
it
just
barely
tough.
cost them anything.
Yeah, it's just tough for you can see the solo player in the mini map. No matter what happens here, the zone's going to continue to pull towards the south. You have to be able to move quick, loot quick, whatever shambles are left over, and that's how one of the eliminations came to be. It's a great job from that trio to kind of realize that they're all separated as solos and to act quickly.
We got Ayo, Toronto, and Liam playing a little bit of high ground here. They're inside the storm, though. Not too sure if it was safe to make the rotate. Out comes the Oni mask. It's going to be a big rotate there, leaving them completely exposed. You see the shots coming in. Does seem like they have the team watching them out right now.
Okay, 57 points for this team, not necessarily all having the same mobility out of that last game. They're just kind of making it work with what they have. This time around, though, does seem a little bit easier. With the Void Mask, you see the fishing rod that they're hoping to utilize later in the game, depending on where the zone pulls. And since it is pulling towards the south, maybe it goes up towards Foxy. I do believe there is going to be some patches of water. You just got to be able to rotate there first before other teams get the same idea.
Another team watching from just outside, not too far off. Ducky, Cube, and Stacks here with the high ground. And we have the the fake Falcon, Peter Pot.
I think that's Jeff. I think that's Jeff. We all know how he can be at times.
Oh my gosh. In the lobby right now.
It's one of those things too. You see a team rotating in behind you a little bit late in the zone. It pulls further and further away. They have to make the decision right now. How long do you stay here? Try to hold so many other teams that are in the same spot as you, or do you try to rotate out early? Try to get over that mountaintop, because you see there's already one team in the mini-map waiting on the edge of that mountaintop to try to get surge for all these teams that have to move up that elevation.
Now, this team here may be full-on trolling with their names, but their position in the tournament is super sound at this current game 2 here. They have so much material to work with. The loadout looking very solid here. They can push off most teams. Do keep in mind, Ducky's trio that was on the high ground barely had any mats. It seems like they have had a bit of a struggle here outside the mass meadow, and they're sticking around trying to see if they can actually find a refresh. Now, I don't know how I feel about this, as Jeff and trio are looking to jump in. Those wood mats are not going to save them for long, and an all-out war breaks out here, and it is not good. Casualties on both sides here as Cube falls, but Ducky with the instant res. Stacks trying to fight up top. Puts up a good defense here, buys themselves a little bit of time, and takes down Jeff with the knock trade there.
Thought it was going to be easy, run into a Typhoon Blade, but Stacks still gets caught out. Fortunately, he was separated by himself. HQ Ducky, they were healing up, getting the revive. 385 above Storm Surge. All they need to do is survive this moment right here, but HQ takes a big shot. You know he has the possibility of going down to the Storm. They don't have a lot of HP to reheal in this moment, so they're just going all in. Now or never, putting it all on the line, and they get another knock onto Kaz, but just a little bit too late for the Siphon really making play here, and even more teams shooting back in that direction, all for nothing, because everybody gets taken out.
Yeah, one player left here. Jirian fanboy trying to stay alive right now. He's gonna fall to the storm though. Unfortunately, no credit for Munker there, even with all of that extra attempted help. But it's Toronto in team that seem to be pushing in right now. And oh wait, Exoff actually did make it out. So one of their teammates are still alive here, down in the low ground. But what was the communication? It seems like he didn't recognize the trio was still sitting in the storm there, and down he goes. Well, look at this. This is going to surely jump up Toronto and Ayo. Continued inside of that top 5 standing there.
There might be more, though. I'm thinking, but wait, there's more, because I see a solo player exposed down there. They're going to go back for that Mass Meadows reboot. As you see how that one came to fruition. Doesn't matter how strong your blade is. 2v1 in the same box to get the elimination. So it's going to be an interesting decision how long he waits as a solo before he tries to make a move.
Jack sees Blake from being contested to now playing this mountain here for a couple zones. Is going to finally be forced to move as things start to pull west here. I do like this area for general endgame as we're leading right into Canyon Crossing here shortly. Other teams already set up, as it seems like the islands have spawned in as well. Look at this, full team behind them right now as they're sitting on this launch pad.
Yeah, and typically I wouldn't necessarily like the launch pad, but you can see they're kind of set up with their surge base. It will be a short pad. This is kind of how that fight started. Look at the chaos. It almost seemed like Stack said, you know what, forget my shotgun. Let me join in on the fun with the Typhoon Blade. There goes another slam right there. He is just going absolutely crazy. Kaz trying to sneak a shot on the other side, but by then, the damage has been done.
Yeah, it was looking like he almost clutched up 2 sets of eliminations there, but unfortunately, the reses ended up going through. Here we get to see what team took the high ground for the islands that spawned in. It's going to be Amplify, Lures, and Mississippi here. They need more damage. This is good activity happening below them. Really set themselves up. No points earned just yet for this trio here, so game 1 was a wash.
You got to really hope to get damage. You see them 141, 191, increasingly higher, because if they have to go down off of the arena to try to fight for their surge, just remember, Monster, they got to glide. They got to void their way down. A lot of their movement is going to be projected by moves way ahead that everybody can see.
That's right. Can't telegraph it too easily. The team will end up waiting for you. Meanwhile, Jingson and Andrew here, just outside the Warriors' watch right now in a surge battle. Back and forth here. Splash is starting to be used super early here, but Andrew lit up. Time to get out of here. Can't really afford to mess around here too much longer. Surge starts to turn on, and this is probably going to spell the end for this trio here if they can't find a fight, or at least a couple tags here shortly. The arena's already pushed out. The arena islands are pushed out of the storm, so they need to be looking up or at least finding tags when his team's free rotating in front of them. And you can tell desperation is kicking in here. Sin doesn't even wait for his trio at all. He is full committing right now, trying to put the tournament on his back. But no, he is unfortunately not going to be able to do it. Doesn't look like Jings is going to be able to either. And that's going to send this trio back to the lobby there after earning their first set of 6 points. But it happens. It happens even to the best of us.
Yeah, I believe their early game, getting caught off guard, going down, forced to reboot, sent them so far behind. We're just seeing the results of the Typhoon Blade in action. They're just trying to spray him down, but not without at least one of their teammates feeling the pain. Canyon crossing. Don't see a lot of fights going down over here. With the zone moving in this direction, sometimes push comes to shove. You got to do what you can. Cricket's down. Nox is able to get at least one elimination, trying to gather as much space and loot as possible while picking up the eliminations. Those points are crucial. And with the zone moving in, he realizes, I cannot be the hero. I have to go on as a solo.
Yeah, I like that play right there. Just gets out, finds himself a nice secure set of eliminations. And now it's just play for the storm here. Unfortunately, that was a bad Void Oni throw there. He's got to find a little bit more headspace, but teams up above are not really allowing him to do so. There he goes, and just inching his way forwards right now. There's that team that's on his heels now, starting to push up. It's not looking good for Nox.
It's just tough. He's almost forced to wait for all these other teams to rotate first. He's 449 above the damage threshold, so at least he has that going for him, not really having to worry about damage on this rotation, but you can see how it started. Smoke went down. He's trying to make a play, gets that first knock on the Zeus. He goes all the way around and gets another drop onto Tony. Call him a playmaker, man, because he is putting in work.
That was perfect. That was a very, very nice read right there. Find the opportunity. Doesn't get easier than that. Meanwhile, we got Verge, Kyan, and WTJ Steph Curry right now cooking it up here. This is a very interesting end zone right here, going straight into the Shogun Solitude. And look at the way it's playing out, right? We're talking like a lot of terrain at play here.
A lot of different elevations. I feel like I can count on one hand alone how many times it's ended up here. So a wrench has been thrown into the Misks, and it's honestly, it's exciting to see at the same time. See how a lot of these teams deal with this, especially on the side of the mountain, getting focused. They quickly try to maneuver out, but a team that we saw above Surge quickly find themselves below, and that's visuals. That's Braze and a Minish on the other side. Steph Curry with the first shot, and he hits it, downs onto a Minish. The other teammates are still alive. They're still putting down pressure, trying to save the day.
This is all in a matter of moments as the rotate was going through. Take a look at that. Went from 6 points on up to about 6 eliminations. Meanwhile, Clicks, Eobzo, and Batman Booga remaining calm, right? Even amongst all this battling happening around them. They still haven't picked up a set of eliminations. They've managed to barely stay afloat here on the surge damage, and again, this is not what we expect of them. However, they have been slow and steadily making their way into endgames, and these critical moments now, that's the refresher this team's going to need here.
Yep, quickly moving to the builds,
trying to
making as
break
much
over for
space as
Clicks here.
possible. Yep, that's teamwork really making the dream work. He has a lot of those HP heals, doesn't want to use too many on his way back. Especially if he does, he wants to make sure to get the full effect, use it with the team. Not too much missing now, but another tough rotation to go.
I thought for a second they were going to take the zip line and just destroy all the builds straight to the top. Hey, anything is possible at this point here. A little glimpse of what's going on there. Look at the congested side on the north there. That's what happens when it starts pulling up and out of the canyon there. It is straight vertical terrain at play here. Meanwhile, Cease and crew get the first dibs here on the new territory. Now they are using their Void Oni mask to rotate very early, so they're likely effectively giving up the high ground here. Most teams will want to throw it late so you can build on top of it. So I am interested to see who's going to come out on top after this entire exchange is over.
I feel like you're reading my mind right there, because this next zone, as it does pull down, that's all fine and dandy, but you can see towards the west, see towards the east. If the zone pulls there, it's going to go up the mountains. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. Anybody that chose to go for the low ground is hoping for a north or south pull.
It looks like Ree and Bryce might be the first teams to go for high ground here. Cease opting to play that mid ground there. You can see he's just trying to make his way up this mountain a little bit, but Jack is left behind now. Finally, they do get to one another, and they are just trying to figure out what is happening here on their layer. Meanwhile, Ree and Bryce do have the high ground as a duo here. No Vert alive now, and look at this. They haven't even earned themselves any eliminations this game. It's going to bounce right back in the direction in which they came. I love that they're taking the time to farm here. That's going to make a huge difference for them.
Yeah, and if they can position themselves early, we saw it in that last game. Not too many teams have the ability to look up on that high ground team because of all the chaos. And then now you add in the fact we're moving back up those mountains that we just came down from. Nobody is going to have an easy road throughout this next rotation.
Look, and Ree and them only had 2 uses left on the Oni mask, so they do have to be very, very cautious on how they end up utilizing it. We're only in zone 9.
Not going to be too forgiving, but Encrypted and Sales trying to hold on to their spot on the leaderboard from all the way on the southeastern part of the map, making their way over.
They're just going to build it out. They're going to try to hammer this one out with mats from the high ground here. Let's see if it ends up working out. Clicks, Yamzo, and Batman Booga have everyone in a barrel down below them. Onto their layer is going to be a huge mistake here for Encrypted and Sales. We already know Sales didn't have an Oni mask, so he was slowing down Encrypted's rotates there, and it just turns into pure punishment now as Yamzo is loaded on material now. He's starting to focus up the high ground here.
And this is the stage of the game right now. 16 teams still alive. We're barely starting to get into placement, so there's a lot of pressure put onto Encrypted with his teammates going down. Batman Booga, Clicks, Yamzo, they have an opportunity to look down and they find another elimination. They know they need these resources. They're looking to make it far in this game.
This is very interesting. Yamzo makes the call, get down here, get those materials and keep playing it out, but it's going back up the mountain. Mistakes may have been made. We'll see if they have enough gas in the tank to get up top. Aiden and Hound come flying up and under, but Bryce and Reet playing a 2-man defense here from up above have to be careful. And Bryce is all the more scared of how he's seeing all these players come up. Yup, he ends up giving it up. 30 mats, no mats now. Make it count here. Meanwhile, Crook and Kicks left alive here. Teams are just falling apart here. It looks like it's all duos left at this point.
Yeah, the high ground too. There was a knock up there, but because nobody can look up, they do get the revive off. Clicks is down. Batman Booga and Yamzo forced to clutch up here as a solo. They find that one elimination, the resources. They're moving up the side of the mountain, trying to get the front side of the zone, but just too many teams cutting their path off, making it hard, making a tough rotation, including the high ground. This is their chance to put pressure down on all these teams, get them to waste those resources so when the end game happens, they can take it with ease.
One of the only full trios left above have high ground right now. Yamzo, Batman Booga have the mats to play this one out, but they're going to continue to play the low ground here, play for positioning, and most importantly, the eliminations here on the front side of the zone. Plenty of heals to go through as well, as they're going to start to look to recoup themselves. Yamzo looking for the edit here. Nothing comes through. Will they break the high ground team? I mean, at this point, they just need to find a moment here to breathe. But Shadow, Tyler from the Flooded Frogs, all the way down to Shogun Solitude, still in the game right now. Still have a chance, but they have no material left. It's just up to Tyler.
Yeah, so many teams are ripped to shreds, missing 1 or 2 players on their team. Forced to have a couple players clutch up. Tyler, Shadow, they're 2 players I talked about there consistently, and now it's time to make it work. 2 big shots, make it 3 as Hound goes down. A much-needed elimination. He's going to get the siphon, the material, a pick-me-up opportunity as he orbs to the high ground.
But let's see if he ends up focusing height. That's what I want to know. Is High Ground going to be able to walk away with this, or will a chance open up here? But first, Tyler and company keep fighting through. It's all up to Shadow now. Onto low ground. He ends up punishing Iamzo with a monster shot there, but no elimination comes through. It's up to Batman Booga, the healthy one, to hold things down now in the low ground. He is out of material. Iamzo's got everything. He tries to drop him a heal. Iamzo finds Shadow there. Payback in the exchanges, and it is all going down right now. How is Iamzo still alive here? Siphon is keeping him in the game, but in the end, a second place for Batman Booga. Clicks and Iamzo there, and our high ground teams do seem to take home game number 2 for the win.
I'm not even in the game, and seeing Iamzo get those eliminations, my life flashed before my eyes, thinking he could do this from just a sliver of HP. Turns around, gets the elimination off to Shadow, and that's when I thought that opportunity changed. But you gotta give it up. They turned this game around almost.
I'm just watching the health fly back up. I couldn't believe it. Kicks, Crook, and Totem got extremely lucky with the way things played out, but they played it masterfully from up above, putting pressure down relentlessly, not giving the low ground teams a chance to actually bounce back. And look at this, Kicks goes with the full commit with no mats, cuts off Batman Boogie, doesn't see it coming, and just like that, they win the game. Congratulations, match number 2 is gonna go to Kicks, level 1 Crook and Totem hand. Zeke, tell me what you got as we send this team to finals.
You know what I have, Monster Deface? It's games of Fortnite. I love the chaos that we get to see in these end games. They're so crazy. But again, we're seeing the same thing happen. High ground winning games, which is crazy, Kelly and Vivid, because you would think that's not the case, right? You think these Void Oni masks kind of make that something you can kind of manage, but for Kicks and company, they're like, hey, we'll just hold it down. You guys fight down below. We'll get a victory royale. And now they're going to the Major 1 finals.
Well, just like what we saw in game 1, the team that was holding high ground for majority of the early moving zones did eventually drop it, and it's really the teams that are kind of paying attention to not just the action that's going on low and middle ground, but also paying attention to that high ground, realizing when teams are getting weak up there and then taking advantage of that, using the Oni mask to be able to teleport up there and then hold the high ground from around zone 10, zone 11 on.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for Rio watching that game. They positioned themselves so well on the east side of that zone and ended up pulling west all the way over to Shogun Solitude, right? So the take here for this team was pretty easy, being that Re was just a duo with very minimal mass up. But this is one of those instances, Zeke, right, where it's like, listen, we're here for the win. A win is a guaranteed final spot. But then it's like, we just watched Batman Booga and Iamzo clutch up as a duo while Clicks was down and just pick up so many points in such incredible fashion that we've got to go ahead and shout that out too.
Yeah, that's right. We'll break down that and more after this short break because there's so much to talk about after that last game. But stay tuned. We'll see you just a little bit. Welcome back in, everybody, to the FNCS. We just got done with game number 2, which means we're about to enter that halfway point. Remember, we only have 5 games today, and that will kind of wrap up group number 1. So a lot of things to talk about after that last game, but a big shout out once again, Kicks, Level 1 Crook, and Tottenham. They got themselves the victory royale. They're going straight to the Major 1 finals. But let's talk about some other things we saw in that last game, like Iamzo and Batman Booga. We saw Clicks kind of go down, and then they're just running around as a duo, and a lot of other duos kind of put in a similar